Amigos de Loft Cinema, los saludamos desde el Festival de Cannes, que empezó a tambor batiente con la película El Gran Gatsby. Ustedes saben, todo el glamour, las estrellas y por supuesto Leonardo DiCaprio, con quien tuvimos la oportunidad de platicar y aquí les mostramos la entrevista.
New York, 1922. The tempo of the city had changed sharply.
Well, look, Fitzgerald did this novel at a key point in American history. It was a post-industrial revolution when New York was booming, and there was all these new billionaires popping up all over the place. But Gatsby belonged to this sort of, new, the new money, and ultimately Fitzgerald captured a time period where wealth was abundant, and people were careless and way too opulent for their own good, and in a way predicted the great crash that happened right after this novel came out. And so that's why it really stuck and it sort of burned into, it's burned into American history in a lot of ways. People identify this novel with that time period, and this is of course a cycle that keeps repeating itself. That's why it's a very current movie. It's about going beyond your means, and ultimately it's going to remain timeless because it's a lesson that we as a humanity have never seemed to learn. Yeah, I do. I see the tragedy in him as well. I mean, we looked at this novel in a lot of ways like Shakespeare. This is, the American Shakespeare of the last century. I mean, people have an identification with the character and the tragedy of Gatsby, this eternal dreamer, this man that has no connection with reality, but is almost projecting his future the way he wants it to be. And I became very fascinated as an adult rereading the novel, because I remember reading it as a youth and not quite connecting with it. But then I read it as an adult and it took on a whole bunch of new meanings for me. And, the obsession of Gatsby just really gripped me. And his idea that this green light, this image of this woman that was going to complete him, ultimately didn't exist. She was a relic of the past, but he wasn't. He was still living in the past. It's a beautiful story and a very tragic one in a lot of ways. I do. The truth is, I let Baz do what he does best, and he's always pushing the envelope. He's never afraid to take chances. That's my favorite thing about working with him. He is a dreamer in his own right, but for me, it always comes down to whether or not we're serving the material right. And ultimately he was vigilant about the novel and vigilant about getting a lot of these subtleties and sequences to be worthy of Fitzgerald's writing. And we talked endlessly about how to best serve Fitzgerald's work. So we rehearsed endlessly, especially the plaza sequence at the end. It was like a theater production in a lot of ways. So that to me is my favorite part about working with Baz. He's vigilant about, whether it be Shakespeare or for Fitzgerald, he's vigilant about making sure that it's done justice. Yes, or La Dolce Vita. This is what I always feel like when I enter Cannes. But yes, I mean it's gonna be a grand premiere indeed, and Cannes is such a wonderful place to have our film be shown, and to open in Cannes is a huge honor for us. This is the place where so many important films have been launched single-handedly. It's the most important film festival in the world.